everyone. Welcome back to my playlist. Well, today I've picked Scorpions' Still Loving You because that is another one that I really have enjoyed returning to over and over again since I first heard it. And it's been interesting to me. It's always interesting to me to sit down and think about why do I like this and why does it end up something that I play, go back to and enjoy. And this one also, I discovered some things in my thinking and exploration process as I was deciding what is it that really, really makes this why I like to hear it. Well, for a piece of music that's built around fairly basic chords and simple melodic design, I feel like this song really packs a punch. And that starts right away, just in the intro. The guitar, when it opens, it has this on those wire strings. It gives this thin, I wouldn't say nasally, but it feels pinched. It feels stressed, like the sort of can't breathe feeling. Like I just, my emotions are so intense I can hardly get a breath in and out again. I think that's enhanced by the opening G minor arpeggios, but it's a combination of the tone of the guitar and the minor harmonic setting of it. And, on the harp, it's a little bit different, but we can still feel the minor quality. It doesn't have the same pinched feel, does it? You still feel the minor, the subdued element, but minor doesn't always have to feel stressed. It can be incredibly relaxing, and I feel like the tone of the harp actually gives it more of a relaxed, mellow quality. Whereas when I hear this opening with the Scorpions playing it, there's something indescribable about the stress that comes and incredible beauty at the same time. But there's even more than just the minor setting and the tone of the guitar. There's also what happens in the bass line, and I feel like that contributes a lot to it too. As the intro continues, we have this, well, it's mainly a G minor chord, right? G minor arpeggio. And then we have this still working with this sort of G minor quality, still kind of the G minor. And then we end up on the D major. That's just the right hand. What I'm doing now is I add the left hand. It complicates this chord, just like this relationship is kind of complicated at this point. We have the G minor. But then it walks down. That's a non-chord tone. We're certainly not in G minor. In fact, we could even argue that this is no longer a G minor chord, G minor harmony, even though the G minor has stayed constant in the arpeggiation. But even more than that, we get this diminished quality coming with that sharp C or flat D. We still sit here on this painful clash and finally settle down. And I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs of how we could analyze and name those chords, but you can hear how some of those bass notes really don't belong to that simple G minor chord which sets us up. And so that gives us a feeling of unease as well as the descent down, 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 down. It all contributes right out of the starting gate in just the intro to set us up for this incredibly complex exploration of humanity and love and passion and pain in this piece of music. Well, to explain what I mean by this complicating the G minor, let me just take it from a different angle for a minute. Sometimes we talk about a pedal point, and a pedal point is where we have a bass note that stays constant as the harmonies above it are changing. So I could have a G here, and I could, while I'm playing this G, I could be playing G minor, and you can hear the bass is continuing constant, while the right hand, the chords above that bass line are changing, and they can progress through all kinds of stuff, and the bass stays the same. We call it a pedal point. I feel like we could sort of say that this is the reverse of a pedal point, in which the bass is changing and the chord is staying the same. Still sitting here. You feel that this harmony doesn't match this one. There's a contrast. And they're stacked. Lovely. Complicated. Tense. Stressed. And add to that the stress of the diminished chord, or the devil's interval that this brings in. When we get to that point, all of that piled in, when we could simply argue that this is just a straightforward G minor to D major cadence intro. But when you start drilling down into it, it gets a whole lot more complicated. And then when the voice enters, so nice the way that he, in his voice, in the tone of his voice, kind of expands on this quality of pinched, can't breathe, stress that this guitar and the whole harmonic scheme of the harmonic design of the opening has set up for us. And he expands this idea to the point that it's no longer just struggling to breathe, but also a kind of breathlessness, as in, you take my breath away, or there's this complexity of okay, is he on the verge of sobbing, crying? Has he been punched in the gut so he can't breathe? Or is he viewing the love of his life, and it's that wonderful takes my breath away feeling? It's all of this tumbled together in the way his voice handles and the tone of his voice, the way he shapes those lines. And then he glides so beautifully between this tension and struggle with pain into the intimacy of you take my breath away. Every time he gets to there, at the end of I will be there. And if you listen to this piece, you will hear the lyrics. Time. It takes time. And the pain and the struggle expressed in his voice. Da-dum-ba-da, to win back your love again. I will be there. And in there, you feel that, oh, wow. And I love that. I love that about this piece. I love the complexity of emotion and human experience that this piece brings and brings together in such a simple overall design. I also like how the stretched triplets, or the 3/4, adds an additional kind of tension as each time the voice reaches up towards the to win back your love, to win back your, it's stretched out there. Well, this piece is kind of in duple time, and 2 beats in a bar, 2 big beats in a bar. 1, 2, 1, 2. And most of the time it's divided into a basic 1, 2, 1, 2. Even in the melody, We could say 2. 1, 2. But right here, to win back your... Normally there would be 4 notes there if we were following this division. Bum, da, da, bum, no. That would feel consistent, right? But instead, it feels stretched. To win back your... And it doesn't agree with what's happening underneath, the consistency of the 4. 1. Or we could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. This is going consistently, right? But instead up here we have 3. Let me explain it this way. Let's say that you have 4 inches measured out on a tape measure. And then you have to divide those 4 inches into 3 equal divisions of 1 1/3 inches each. And then you have to be able to get them to line up, and you have to play at the beginning of each of those. So we have 4 inches evenly divided. 1, 2, 3, 4. And up here we have 1 1/3 inches. It's complicated. They don't agree. You have 3 on top, you have 4 on the bottom. And it's a lot more challenging, complex to play that, to line your notes up that way, than it is to simply go chunk, 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 chunk all together. Listen to how it sounds. If I have this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. With 1, 2, 3, 1. You hear that? Listen. If you count what I'm doing at the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and I'm doing 3 at the top. 1, 2, 3, 1. And they all arrive on 1 together. But it's this clash, this disagreement. You hear they don't line up exactly together as I'm playing them, because they each have to be spaced differently. And I feel like that adds not a harmonic tension, not a clash between bass line and chords, not a stress in the voice or the timbre of what we're hearing, but a stress or a clash in the rhythm, in the agreement of where things fall. That also adds a level of tension to this piece, right at the peak of the phrase, to win back your love. At the same time, to give it that stretched feeling there, to win back your love, gives it this sort of, I don't know, I could say grand quality, epic quality, to have that stretch, that expansiveness happening. And so we have both tension and expansion happening in the same moment rhythmically. I think it works incredibly well to express more of the emotional complexity of this piece. Now, in that same vein, let's talk a bit about the instrumentation, because I'm talking about the voice and the timbre. The instruments each contribute something incredibly powerful to this piece, incredibly special and important. The guitar. Well, when we get to the guitar solos, I love the way that they are built off of this same sung melody, but modified just enough so that it doesn't sound like a mere repetition, but it's also not launching into something really virtuosic and over the top. It stays within the bounds necessary so that we don't feel like it's becoming a cliche or melodramatic or too grotesque. I like that. And it's rich, it's beautiful. Da 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 da. And then next verse. One of the next verses, I guess it's the third verse. The drums enter on fight. Fight. And the pulse is slow. Dum, dum, consistent. Along with the bass. It lends it a beautiful depth and power. And then in comes the guitar with it, the overdriven guitar, roaring away. And I think that does a great job of what I would say filling the role of the pipe organ glory, the pipe organ conviction. There's a quote I can't remember word for word right now, but it's something about the pipe organ. The pipe organ teaches us the power of God, and the pipe organ is the perfect instrument for worship, because in it we feel the power of God, and then we feel the peace of God when it ends. Something like that. It's a little joke, but the guitar here is feeling that powerful pipe organ roaring roll, dom, and balances out the pinched quality of the upper range of the voice and the plucked guitar. So we have a great balance instrumentally, timbre-wise, range-wise, pitch-wise. We have different articulations. We have plucked, kind of non-legato, and then we have these long sustained notes. We have the drums, we have the bass. It all works so well together. There's a lot of balance and coordination going along here. And I think that all contributes to what I'm going to call the heroic element of this piece of music. The I'll swim the rivers and scale the mountains and cross the deserts devotion that we hear in the context of a broken relationship. I want to talk about that a bit more a little later, but first, to get there, let's look at the lyrics. Speaking of the lyrics, I love the way the poetry of these lyrics paces the development of each idea in each verse. Time. It needs time to win back your love again. I love the way it starts with just a single verse, time, and then builds on that a little bit. It needs time. And then we launch into, to win back your love again. And then this wonder, I will be there. And that breathless there. Same thing next verse, love. It makes us dwell on this word love. Love. Only love. Interesting the way the melody gives the only just a little bit of emphasis, whereas love gets more. So it's not saying love, only love, but love, only love. The emphasis is on love. Can bring back your love. That wonderful stretched triplet there. Bring back your love someday. I will be there. And then fight. Oh, we're made to sit on this word fight. And the drums say fight. Maybe I'll fight to win back your love. Again, this win back your love. I guess every line pretty much. No, not every line, but those first verses. Win back your love. It's all about winning back your love. I will be there. And then, of course, back to love. We're made to sit again on this word love. Only love can bring down the wall someday. Again, I will be there. Each verse makes us sit on one single word, one single idea, and live in that moment, in that idea. And from there, it takes us beyond, explores it, says something about it, but we're made to sit, first of all, without any introduction, without any apology, explanation, simply set it here and sit there. I like that. The refrain is a bit different. If we go again all the way from the start, I would try to change things that killed our love. And back to the complexity of the human element here in this piece. There is passion. There's fear. There's desperation. There's humility. There's confession. There's almost a blame, because things that killed our love, your pride has built a wall. Your pride. It almost feels like he's handing the blame over, but pulls away from that. But all of this complexity is so wonderful to feel and explore in such a short space of time as one piece of music. And then, is there really no chance to start once again? I'm loving you. And then we get back to the verses again, explore, try, baby, try. And then love. Only now it's not only love, it's our love. Shouldn't be thrown away. And so the piece goes. It's just beautiful the way the lyrics themselves, the poetic elements of the lyrics, do such a great job of pacing our progress through the piece.
And they're Germans.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's really impressive. In fact, I read a little interview excerpt in which Rudolf Schneider said, it's always the old story. We can't reinvent the wheel. He was talking about the inspiration for the piece and how they chose the topic in the piece. And he's saying we can't reinvent the wheel. We're dealing with the same topics that everybody deals with. We just do them handle them in our own way. I get what he's saying. And I don't disagree. This is a common topic. It's a common human experience. But on the other hand, how often do we get to hear a song which deals with the end of love, the end of a love, and which also expresses this degree of devotion and passion for the other, all in the same song? We hear, okay, I'm not saying it's the only song out there, but I don't feel like this particular combination is really that common. It's either rage, panic, desperation, love lost, more of a personal feeling bad for myself, not so much looking at the other. I am still in love with you, and I will be there, and I will do anything I can do to win back your love, even though I know that I have done things, and my pride and I myself am to blame for a large portion of what has gone on here and what has brought this relationship to the end. But I still love you, and I will still fight for this that we have together because I'm that madly in love with you. I feel like the stereotypical story, whether we see it in movies or literature or poetry or music, it's more along the lines of, okay, two people madly in love, separated by fate or something outside of their control, heroically striving to get back together. That's where we hear the heroism, the striving to get back together. That's where we meet it. But this takes it deeper, putting that level of dedication now here at the end of a relationship after things have fallen apart. I think that's nice. I think it's beautiful. I think it's incredible how it breaks through the stereotypes. It ignores all the stereotypical stuff that we bring to simplistically explain relationships and the complexities of human experience. And instead, it brings a very unique perspective, and yet one that is also very believable, because in it we recognize perhaps ourselves, or perhaps someone we know, perhaps an experience that we have felt. And I find that incredibly beautiful. And reading through the lyrics, listening to the music, it's hard to not hope that he'll overcome the odds and they'll be able to somehow grow a new happily ever after together, in spite of all that has transpired, in spite of all they've been through, in spite of where they are right now. And that also I find incredibly beautiful in this piece of music, because as painful as it is, it carries within it this irrepressible hope and this possibility of, if not recovering something that was lost, building anew something incredibly beautiful. And so it's not just great music, but the lyrics also get us emotionally invested in this story, in this journey. Well, as I'm digging into my playlist and sharing pieces that I find on my playlist, you probably are starting to figure out by now that the music that attracts me, the music that I return to, is not just well-written, well-performed music, but it's music with soul. It's passionate music. I love passionate music. Music with heart, music with soul, music that delves into our humanity and our experience as human beings, and the potential that is there to wherever the music takes us, really. But this passion and this soul is such an incredible thing. And this is what catches me with a piece of music. This piece fills that cup, and with some to spare.